today we're going to be talking about money, okay? So we had been talking about decimals. We had been adding decimals, subtracting decimals, multiplying decimals, and dividing decimals. So where you're most commonly going to see this is in dealing with money. And so that's kind of our everyday use of decimals, and we can all relate to that. We all know that you need money for things, that money is important, and we're all going to use it. So we're going to kind of show you, or I'm going to show you today, and we're going to talk about the terms that we use when we're talking about money and what that means that we're going to be doing, whether we're going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing depending on the situation, okay? So we want to talk first about some money terms and what those money terms mean. And you can kind of think of this if you're dealing with, bank accounts or savings or things like that, buying and spending, okay, and how are we going to figure these things out? So we're going to talk about what do different terms mean, okay? And so let's say you have a checking account, okay? A checking account is where your money goes. Usually when you get money and you get paid, it goes into an account, okay? So some sort of an account holds your money, usually a checking account. Okay, so usually people put their money in a checking account because what a checking account allows you to do is it allows you to write checks or use your debit card in order to pay for something. So when you go to the store, the money has to come from somewhere. You get the money, it goes into your account, and then you write checks for things that you need, or you use your debit card, or nowadays you pay online, or maybe even use Venmo, okay? So the money goes into your account. When the money goes into your account, if you're adding money to your account, it's called a deposit. Okay, so this is supposed to be an addition sign. So if you're adding money to your account, you're depositing money. Okay, so for example, if my checking account started with, let me move this over a little bit, $50, okay, and I got a deposit of $150, those would get added together. Okay, and I would have a total of $200 now in my checking account. So if I get paid, usually somebody is giving me money. So if I get paid, the amount of money I have is going to go up. So being paid is an increase. So maybe this deposit, somebody owed me some money, or whatever the case may be. Now let's say I get paid and I get, let's say I get $1,000, okay? So I get paid, now I have $1,200 in my checking account, okay? Now, when my money sits in there, I get something called interest. Usually not a lot, okay? But the bank gives you money for putting money in their bank, okay? So if I get interest in my account, that is being added to my account. So let's say my account has been sitting there for, I'm going to put a line over here. Let's say my account has been sitting there for, like 4 months, and in 4 months I've made 10 cents, okay? So 10 cents is, make my decimal bigger, 10/100 of a dollar, okay? So I gotta add the 10 cents, but remember, when we add with decimals, we have to line up the decimals, okay? So if we have to line up the decimals, I have to put my decimal under my decimal, and my tens place under my tens place, but in $1,200, where on earth is my decimal? Well, my decimal would go here, okay? $1,200 and 0 cents. So remember, if there's no decimal written, the decimal goes at the end of the number. Then I can go ahead and add in my 10 cents, okay? I can put zeros above it, and then I can add it together, and when I do that, I'm gonna get $1,200.10. So $1,200.10 is what I call my balance. My balance is how much money is in my checking account, okay? So my checking account balance is $1,200.10, okay? So the balance is the amount of money you have in there after you've either added money or you've subtracted money. So we've talked about words that mean to add. Now let's talk about words that mean to subtract. So if I were to use my debit card, that's the little plastic card your parents use most of the time when they pay for something. If I were to use my debit card, let me move this over. Okay, so let's say I make a debit purchase. I'm going to be taking money out of my account, okay? So this is going to be a subtraction. So I go to the store and I use my debit card and I pay, let's say, $50.25 for groceries. So remember, when you subtract, you've got to line up your decimal. So $50, tens place under tens place, ones place under ones place, decimal under decimal, and 25 cents. Tenths under tenths, hundredths under hundredths. And I subtract, remember you've got to borrow. That becomes a 0, so it's a 5. I can't subtract 2 from 0. I got to borrow from here, but I can't do that. I have to go all the way to here. That becomes a 1. This becomes a 10, then borrow becomes a 9. This becomes a 10, then I have to borrow, it becomes a 9. Also that this can become a 10. Whew, it's a lot of borrowing. Okay, so we have 10 minus 2 is 8. Decimal comes straight down when you're adding and subtracting. 9 minus 0 is 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. 1 minus nothing is 1. So now my new balance is $1,149.85. Now let's say I write a check. So the term check, if you get a check, this is where it gets a little tricky. If you get a check, you're adding money to your account. So like I get a paycheck, okay? So if I get paid is adding money. So a paycheck would be adding money. If I write a check, I'm taking money out of my account. So let's say I have to pay a bill and I can't like swipe my debit card. So I'm going to write a check. I'm going to get the piece of paper and I'm going to write it out and I'm going to send it to whoever needs it. So that's going to be a subtraction. So I'm going to write a check. Let's say I'm going to write a check to the electric company. So for those of you who leave your lights on all the time, your parents are telling you to shut them off. Here's why. Let's say my electric company bill is $150. Holy mackerel, kids, shut the lights off. Okay, $150. So I wrote the check, so I'm going to be subtracting from my account, okay? So I have to line up my decimals. Remember, if there's no decimal written, it goes at the end of the number. So $150.00. So there's my decimal. I can fill in the zeros here after the decimal. Remember, zeros after the decimal, don't change anything. All right, 5 minus 0 is 5. Notice I do not have to borrow when the 0 is on the bottom. 8 minus 0 is 8. Decimal goes straight down. 9 minus 0 is 9. I can't take 5 away from 4. I need to borrow. 4 becomes 14. 14 minus 5 is 9. I cannot take 1 away from 0. I need to borrow. That becomes a 10. So now I have a balance of $999. Okay, great. So a couple other terms you want to talk about and we'll talk about more when we meet in our small groups in class. But, let's say that we're going shopping. Okay, we're going shopping. We have $30 to go shopping with. And I have spent. If I've spent, I'm going to be subtracting. Okay, so if I have $30 and I bought something for $15.99, okay? And I need to figure out how much change I'm going to get back. So here are some terms. So here's what I have. I'm going to spend, so I'm going to subtract my $15 from my $30 and 99 cents. So remember, the decimal is at the end of the number. And I can add zeros in here. So $30.00, and I spent, so I'm going to be subtracting $15.99. I cannot subtract from zeros. I got to borrow, can't work. The borrow can't work. So I got to borrow from here. So this is a 2. Now I can make that a 10. Now I can borrow to make this a 10. That'll become a 9. Now I can borrow to make this a 10. That'll become a 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. 9 minus 9 is 0. Decimal comes straight down. 9 minus 5 is 4. And 2 minus 1 is 1. So now this is my change. This is what I get back after I spent my money. So my change is kind of like what I have left. And as you know, what you have left has to do with subtraction. That's a subtractional word. So if I need to find change, I need to subtract in order to figure out what the change is, because change is what I have left. So these are how some of the money words are going to work. All right, so before you meet me in your center today, what I would like you to do is I would like you to see if you can solve this story problem. Dahlia has $3 in her piggy bank. She was paid $10 for shoveling. She took her money and went shopping. She spent $12.50. How much change did she receive? So how much change did she get back? Go ahead and pause the video and work that out before you come to centers. Even if you don't have it done, bring what you do have done.